When I was 16 years old, it was a very low point in my life, and I ended up getting hospitalized for 4 months over the summer. The doctors were afraid that my heart would give out, even if I did so much as walk. So if I wanted to go anywhere, I had to call a nurse to take me in a wheelchair. My mom and dad visited me every day, but not always together. Whenever my mom came alone, she would take me out in a wheelchair to the beach access behind the hospital so I could get some fresh air and look at the lake. One day, my mom had come by to visit, and she took me out to the beach as usual. While we were waiting for the elevator down from the ward, a man stopped my mom and me. "Your daughter has such beautiful black hair." The way he said it gave me the willies. Kind of in a Buffalo Bill-esque, I want to wear it way. My mom thanked him and chatted a bit, but I just looked the other way and ignored him. I could feel his eyes on me though. We all pile into the elevator, and as soon as the doors close, I feel something tugging on my hair. I glance over and realize that the guy is playing with my hair. I'm pretty creeped out here, but I don't want to cause a scene just in case he has a mental disorder and can't help himself. So I just leaned over as far as I could in the wheelchair so that he couldn't reach me without alerting my mom. We reach the bottom, get off, and my mom and I start wheeling over to the beach while the guy just stands by the elevator and watches us go. I told my mom what he did, and she said she'd make sure to do something if we ever saw him again. After that, we kept seeing him, always by the elevator. He'd make a comment about how beautiful my hair is. My mom would nod politely. We'd get into the elevator, and he'd try to play with my hair, but my mom would move in the way. We'd get off, and he'd watch us roll out. Creepy, but we decided he was harmless. Until about a month later. We went down to the beach as usual, and this time we didn't see him at the elevator, but we didn't think much of it. At some point, my mom had to use the restroom, and it was mutually decided that I was old enough to take care of myself for 3 minutes. I was sitting in the wheelchair, looking out at the lake and enjoying the sun, when I started getting pushed. Thinking it was my mom, I turned around to ask for 5 more minutes. But it's not my mom. It's the fucking guy. He's pushing me towards the bushes, and the look on his face is predatory. I scream, but the only other people out there are in a canoe out on the water. So I make a decision. I decide, if I'm going to die, I'd rather it be heart failure than this dude. So I get up out of the wheelchair and start legging it toward the restrooms. I look behind me to see if he's following, and fortunately, he's not. He's just standing by the wheelchair looking shocked. I think he thought I was paralyzed. I make it back to my mom, who'd run out of the toilet upon hearing me screaming. We both look back, and the guy is running away like he's got a rocket in his ass. My mom carried me on her back to the wheelchair, and then we rushed to inform the hospital staff. They put a watch out, and for the next month, there was security hanging around the elevator on my floor. But he never came back.
So, I was around 16 or 17 years old when this happened. I used to work in a grocery store in which most might consider a bad neighbourhood. I worked always till around 11 PM and had to cross a fairly busy street to get to the bus stop. The bus stop isn't the most well lit, and the buses have been known to pass people because they can't even see them sitting there. So, I'm waiting for the bus to pull up when this white minivan pulls up in front of me. The driver rolls down his window and asks who I am. I just look at him because why would I tell him my age to a random person? He begins telling me that I should get in the van and go church with him. I can see another person sitting in the dark in the back of the van. I can't really see him, but I can tell he's looking at me. The driver then begins to insist that I get in the van with him because he can save my soul. Right when he starts to open the door and I start easing back to run, the bus pulls up behind him, blowing its horn at him. His palms slam onto the steering wheel when he speeds off and gets the fuck out of there as I'm running for my bus. I tell the driver what happens and he decided to drop me off right in front of my house and wait till I got inside.
It's early November. Cold. Rainy. Around midnight. My fiancée and I like taking spontaneous late-night drives. We typically start out on one of the main roads within our city and keep following it until we hit the next town. Sometimes our drives last hours. The layout of my county and surrounding counties is a little bizarre. All of the cities and towns are isolated by large spreads of woods and country. I live in a relatively large college town, but a half-hour drive in any one direction can land you stranded on jagged, unmarked gravel roads in the middle of nowhere, or in small weird villages that no one even knows about. It's actually pretty exciting, and that's why we do it so much. So it's midnight, and we're nearly lost. Willa, my fiancée, is poking around on my phone trying to figure out what road we're on. We're on a mud path in a pit of country framed by small towns that we've never heard of. Flory, Winnica, and Tell, or something. There are no other cars on the roads. It's rainy and misty, and the headlights on my car aren't doing a damn thing. There are stands of trees and bushes on either side of the road. We're heading north. She tells me that she thinks we're going to cross 200th Street West, which runs into Rye Road, which is a straight shot to Winnica. We make our way down the mud road for a half hour, and never hit it. We've always had fun on these sorts of drives. This is the first time we've ever really been on edge. Willa says we should have found 200th Street West already, and asks if we passed it without noticing. I ask nervously if we should turn around, but she doesn't think we can without backing into a tree or a ditch. I'm driving a Mazda, and it has an awfully wide turn. Willa's biting her nails while scrolling around on Google Maps. 10 minutes pass, and we finally see a little black road snaking up a hill, branching off of the road we're on. I hurriedly turn into it. It's very narrow, and twigs and branches are raking the doors and windows of the car. When we complete the climb up the little road, we find ourselves in a wide paved clearing with a house at the back of it, tucked into the thick woods. Willa doesn't miss a beat and starts hissing for me to turn around. Our headlights illuminate the whole property, which is in major disrepair. No lights, windows shattered, siding and shingles shredded. The yard is littered with scraps and trash. Barrels, car parts, tools, hundreds of glass bottles. Branches, slabs of concrete, rocks. And there's a nasty old Chevy pickup. It looks like the house is sitting on top of all of it. Every inch of the property is entangled in nets of ivy and weeds. Willa points out little moving shadows and glowing spots around the yard. There are dozens of cats around, and they're all looking at us, and their eyes are glimmering from the headlights. I almost piss myself when a walnut-sized rock darts out of the brush and pops against the windshield. It fractures the glass. Willa screams and grabs my arm. She's whimpering, Denny? What was that? What was that? Oh my God, Den, what happened? The rain is pouring in black streams down the trees, over the house, and across the pavement. All of the blood runs from my face. After a few seconds, a man stumbles out from the bushes and weeds, and he's carrying a fucking shovel. He's swallowed in a big dirty navy coat and has a beard. Then a screen door on the house opens, and all the cats scatter. A tall, thin, spidery woman crawls out onto the porch. She has long, wild gray hair. She's just up high enough on the porch that the headlights don't reach her eyes. She wipes her unusually dark hands on her skirt and stares at us. I have no clue what was on her hands, but that's what I remember the most about her. How dark her hands were. Willa's screaming and crying and slapping the door lock repeatedly. I throw the car into reverse, rolling over cinder blocks and branches, and then screech back down the road. After Willa stops crying and there's some distance between us and the house, I start to relax. Yet when we get out of the woods and hit a long straight stretch of road, I notice headlights behind us. I get a stomachache when I notice the cars mimicking all of our turns onto different roads. After nearly half an hour of being pursued, we finally reach Flory and pull into a gas station being visited by a few other people. I watch the vehicle pass. It's the same nasty Chevy truck that we saw at the house. They stalked us all the way to the next town. We wait till we see the truck disappear down the road before we get out, get some food, and ask for directions. On our way home, I look at the rearview mirror more than I do at the road ahead. When we get back, early in the morning, my teeth won't stop chattering until I fall asleep.
I remember working the night shift the other night at a local McDonald's. I had to fill in for my friend Kira, who had called in sick. This night was probably one of the most terrifying nights I've ever worked. It was dead around 11 PM as I was asked by the manager to sweep the floors until a customer came in. One customer came in and he looked a bit rough. Bald, long rusty beard, glasses, sandals, and just clothes that had stains on them. I go up to the register and say, "Hello, is there anything I can help you with?" He answers, "Yeah, can I have a large coffee, please?" I take his order and give him his coffee and tell him, "Have a wonderful day, sir," and he smiles. I go to sweep the floor again as I see this man sitting a bit close to where I would be sweeping, which is usually under the tables and just around the floor. When I reach around to the table, he says, "You're very beautiful." I smile and say, "Thank you very much." He says, "Can I give you a ride home when you're off work?" I say no thank you, I have a ride home. He became the opposite of the nice man that I took the order for, from that to just pure rude. He tells me, "What's your schedule?" I'm not giving that information out, sorry. He takes his coffee and goes back outside. Everything goes back to normal and I finish my shift. The next night after that, Kira and I worked together and my other guy friend Jack. I told Kira about this guy from the night shift and she gave me a weird facial expression. Jack comes over to me and says, "Monica, is everything okay?" I tell him about the guy from the night before and he gave me this look of terror. What he said to me next gives me chills. I shit you not. That man called that restaurant earlier and asked about you. My blood ran cold as I saw the man walk back into the restaurant. Both of their faces and jaws dropped. My stomach had knots in it as I say, "Hello, can I get you anything tonight?" He says no, but can I take you home? Jack steps in and says, no, she ain't going anywhere with you. Get out of here, I'm gonna call the cops. The manager got pissed off at Jack for leaving his position at the drive-through window while that Kira was busy doing some burgers. Jack agreed to switch positions with me until the morning crew came in. The manager asked me to take the trash outside. I nervously said, okay. Jack, on the other hand, was pissed that the manager didn't come and ask him to do it. Jack was nice enough to take it out for me. I stayed inside. Jack comes in and pulls me to the janitor's closet and says, that guy was waiting for you in his truck with 5 other big guys in there. I felt my stomach drop after he said that. Jack informs the manager immediately, and the manager, like the fucking arsehole that she was, says, he's not gonna hurt anyone. He's harmless. Get back to work. The next morning, me and Jack work together, and my co-worker Taylor informs me that this man has come back and told her my schedule, and he will wait for me every day in the back. I got sick of it. I saw him come in. Jack, being the good friend he was, told him to get the fuck out of the restaurant and never to come back again, or else he would call the cops. Jack lost his job because of this, but to me, he was just looking out for me. I cried because of the fact that he lost his job and that I was working alone at McDonald's and I wouldn't have anyone to protect me. I never saw that man again after this, but I quit my job after that at McDonald's, so things went back to general normality. I'm just still worried that he might still be out there searching.